Hi guys, George Glinsky here from Toe the Line, joined today by Daniel Podmore. Daniel, how you doing, my man?
I'm great, mate. I'm great.
I probably should have actually said Daniel, the new British heavyweight champion, Podmore. How does
Yeah,
that feel?
the champ. It still sounds great. Still sounds great.
Has it sunk in yet?
Well, to be fair, it has and it hasn't. You know what I mean? I feel like I am the champ, right? But I feel like I've still got, you know, I've still got to prove that I'm worthy of being the champ. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
Do you feel like then coming into the Charlie Milner fight, obviously your next opponent, your first defense of the British title at BKB Lockdown 2, do you feel as though that will be the cementation of your title? Beating Charlie, you'll feel like the true British champion then?
Yeah, I think I've got to put a bit of a stamp on it. You know what I mean? So obviously, when I fight Charlie, when I win, you know what I mean. I think then people will start, believing, you know what I mean, sort of thing that it's not just a fluke. I'm here to stay. You know what I'm saying? So, and I will definitely fight to the death for every fight. So.
Yeah. Out of interest, how do you see this fight going? Because obviously you've been around Charlie, you've seen his fight firsthand. You saw obviously his fantastic win against a fellow stablemate in Eric Olsen from Fitness Factory. How do you see this fight going? Because it's a similar sort of opponent to Cunningham, a big guy, not as technical a boxer, but certainly a very, very tough test.
Yeah, in some ways, I feel it could go pretty similar. But saying that, I don't know how Charlie's going to prepare for the fight. Certainly, I've not stopped since the last fight. I've carried on, so I've sort of like kept ticking over. So I will just keep improving. So you'll see an even bigger and even more of an improvement next time out. So I think I am probably the best moving heavyweight, the fastest heavyweight in the BKB at the minute. No offense to the other guys, but they're like big lumps, you know what I mean? So I move pretty well for a big dude, you know what I mean? So
Oh, we definitely saw that in the Cunningham fight. Obviously, you were moving beautifully, listening to Simon Haycock's advice. What can you credit that to? Because obviously you have always been a fast heavyweight, but it was particularly present in that fight. I mean, you were so fast on your feet. Is it the sparring you're getting down in Fitness Factory? Obviously, being with the likes of John Hick and Connor Tierney, very fast guys, small weight fighters.
yeah, it's down to the fitness, really. I think, you know what I mean. Just having to, the gas tank to go, keep going and keep going. But it does help, sparring these smaller lads because they are faster. You know what I mean? And they make me work more. You know what I'm saying? So it's more difficult sparring. But obviously the heavyweight sparring is as difficult. But it's hard. I have to sort of like step up my game when I'm in with these little guys because they're so quick.
Is that speed going to be too much for Charlie Milner?
We'll have to see, won't we? He's like I said, I don't know how he's going to prepare, but like I said, it's speed kills. You know what I mean? So we'll see. And like I said, it's not like I've lost any power either because I was sparring Ryan the other day and he come up to me and said, you're punching a lot harder. So I was like, well, I don't really feel it, but he said, nah, you definitely are. So I think it's just evening out. You know what I mean? So.
For sure. The physical difference, obviously, you have the speed advantage, but with Charlie Milner, you have an extremely long fighter. Obviously, Rob Cunningham, 6'5". I'm not entirely sure on his reach. I'm not sure even he knows his reach, but we do know that Charlie Milner packs an 85-inch reach, which is staggering. I mean, that's up there with the likes of Tyson Fury. It's an unbelievable reach. How do you deal with someone with that sort of range?
Head movement, sort of like, I don't know, it's an hard one because I've got another guy in sparring, Louis Owen. He's only 17, but he's 6'5", and the kid's a beast. So he's great sparring for me at the minute, and it's just working your way inside. That's it. That's it is. So I think having that sparring is gonna serve me well in the fight. So, and then again, if I'm not able to get past the jab, or if I can't get inside, I can always dirty the fight up. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? I'm used to like bullying guys in there, so I can always do that. You know what I mean? See, if boxing's not working, I can revert back to the slugging. You know what I mean? And we'll see what happens then. But hopefully we don't have to do that. Hopefully we can just put on a great boxing class.
Mm-hmm. It was definitely a boxing clinic against Rob Cunningham.
Yeah.
The big takeaway coming from that fight was the great relationship you have with your coach, Simon Haycock, listening to his orders, getting in and out of range beautifully. How important has that been, having Simon in your corner and that great team around you?
It's been great, because, like you said on the interview after the fight, it was I phoned him up and I was like, I think I'm gonna have to come down and do a camp, because Fitness Factory, in all fairness, he don't breeds champions. So I thought if I've got any chance of being a champion, it's going to be there. So I went down there and he put me through my paces. And like I said, it was the amount of times I thought, it's not for me anymore. Chuck it in, that, you know what I mean? And he pulled me back. And the rest is history. I'm now, I'm the British champion. You know what I mean? So.
What has switched? Because you've gone from relative obscurity and being a journeyman, taking fights on short notice, whoever, anywhere, anytime. It's well documented. What has changed? Because your mentality seems completely different. It seems as though you've fallen back in love with the sport, and you've improved so much, not only physically but mentally.
Definitely, it's me being a journeyman. It was down to the white collar and that. It's been, everyone knows how it is. It's pretty corrupt. And the money, you know what I mean? It was just the money was talking. I'd fight every 3 months, and I'd sell tickets and I'd pick up a grand purse. But then my pal said to me, he says, why don't you do this every week? I could get you that every week, being a journeyman. So just fighting around the country. So I says, why not? And having so many fights in such a quick amount of time, I think I had nearly 150 fights within 2 years. So I quickly fell out of love with the sport. You know what I mean? So it was just basically a chore, a job. I was turning up, and then I thought, I really can't be arsed. But then most of the time I'd be in for like a 5-round war. You know what I mean? So I'd go in there and I'd love being there, leaning there and having a fight. But yeah, the amount of times I've decided, I thought, you know what, I can't be asked to do it anymore. It's not for me. And then I had the Josh Burns fight, and that sort of like brought me back. So I thought, I'm not gonna do this anymore. You know what I mean? I said, look, if I'm going to face someone and they believe that they're actually going to win, but then there's me knowing that I ain't going to win. So, but then they're thinking they've actually beat me. I've had to take a long, hard think and say, are these guys able to beat me, really? And realistically, I could have finished the fight any time I wanted in these fights. So I thought, nah, it's not for me no more. I said, I think I'm going to have one last crack at it, see where I can go. And then I had to turn to gym, and then to be fair, it's the only place where I get 50-50 fights.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I can imagine taking all of those losses, it has an effect on the confidence. Has that filtered into normal life, your personal life at all?
Nah, it's when you're doing it so much, it just goes straight over your head. You know what I mean? So when I used to be in there, I used to have a nice little plod on in the first and second round. You know what I mean? And then I'd turn it up in the first. I mean, in the third, sorry. and they would know that if anything, if it was to carry on, that I'd win. So I'd let them have the first two, and then I'd have the third, just to show them that I was there. You know what I mean? So he just got tiresome. Yeah, and I had enough. It was. Yeah. I said the only time I'd ever do that now is if I was to turn pro. If I turn pro, I'd go make the money, some big money. You know what I mean? So, and I know I could take a shot. So
yeah. So then, I suppose in many ways, if it doesn't affect your confidence, then it could be a positive. Because I mean, you go in there every time, and it seems as though you don't fear defeat, which a lot of undefeated fighters do. How does that affect your performance?
Before going in there, I know what the crack is. So I already know that I'm not going to win. So, like I said, I'll go through the motions. But then, obviously, when I'm in the fight, I love the fight. I love having a scrap. So then, when it starts to I start biting down on the mouthpiece, and then we start having a good old scrap. But like I said, I'll make sure that they know they've been in a fight, even though I let them win. They know they've been in a fight.
Definitely. But those days, of course, are behind you now. You said there you might go back if professional boxing comes calling, but it seems as though bare knuckle boxing is your home now. You're focusing on that.
Definitely.
I wanted to ask about Fitness Factory, of course. You've got a great deal of talent down there, but as of yet, you're yet to produce a world champion in bare knuckle boxing. Are you looking to become the first? Is it safe to say that?
Well, I was having this conversation with Connor. I said we're in a race to see who's the first world champion from Birmingham. So, but yeah, of course, I won't be in it if I didn't think I wanted to fight for world titles. You know what I mean? That's just like that's the pinnacle. You know what I mean? It's the best. So I'm hoping to go on and fight for the world at some point.
And the last time, obviously, we spoke after your fight with Rob Cunningham, you were speaking about Fabio Maldonado. Obviously, you've got Charlie Milner instead, but is that a fight that's still in your sights?
I probably, to be fair, I was probably running on adrenaline at that time, but then I sat back and spoke to Simon, and we had a chat, and he goes, "There's no point rushing it."
True.
So if I have to go and defend a few times, even take the saying to Jim and Joe that I still want to do the prize fighter, just to get the big payday. So that's something I'd still be interested in. But he said, yeah, just don't rush it and just let it come. You know what I mean? He says you keep improving. You know what I mean? And Fabio Maldonado he's obviously he's been in there with the likes of Carlos Takam and Oscar Rivas. You know, he was a top level elite heavyweight in the UFC. He fought Stipe Miocic and stuff like that. So he's the best of the best. So I would have to definitely step up the game. So I feel like I'm tough enough, and I feel like the way I'm progressing at the minute, it is a possibility for to become world champion. So maybe soon.
As I say, it works quite nicely, I think, because obviously we've closed the borders now. Things have changed in the world due to COVID-19. So you might find that it will naturally happen a few fights down the line due to the general, life as it is today. So it'd be an interesting fight. It'd be, I believe it's a lot closer than people think. I mean, your bare knuckle boxing experience, you've had so much, not only in BKB, but you've had experience outside of it as well in other promotions, will serve you well there. And I think, I like that fight, Dan. I really do.
Well, I think age is on my side as well, which is always a good thing. I like that fight as well, and there's only one way to find out whether I'm good enough, and that's just to do it. And I'm all for just doing it. So I ain't scared to fight no one. I'll fight any man. To be fair, I wish Jim and Joe used me more when the heavyweight scene was on fire back in the day, like with Mickey Tyrrell John Lewis,
Yeah.
Harry Miles, Michael Ferry. I wish, that I was more involved then, because that was the best the heavyweights, since ever been. So I've sort of like copped it a bit late, but it's hopefully now picking up to surpass that. So.
Well, we hope so. We hope so indeed. Let's finish off here now. Obviously, the fight coming up against Charlie Milner, 27th of March. Who have we got to thank? I understand there'll be a fair few.
Obviously, I'll thank Simon. With all my heart, I ain't never leaving that gym now. He's brought me on so much. So, all props to Simon. There's a fair few sponsors now that I need to thank at the top of my head. Let me think. Set for Life competitions, Length and Strength. That's a new one that I bought on board yesterday. There's a Cut Above Arb tree surgery firm, South Midlands Tree Services, the Davis Tree Surgeries Company, K&N Technologies. There's Jamalam Caribbean Food. Is a new one. Jumped on board. There's a few more. Who else? RJH agency. He's an agency. Rob Hackles. Big shout out to him. And if I've missed anyone, I'm sorry. But like I said, off the top of my head, it's hard to think. There's quite a few.
As I say, anyone that's been missed, check the description box. We'll chuck them in there. But Dan, thank you so much for your time. Always an excellent interview with you, and the best of luck on the 27th of March.
Thank you very much, George. Nice one.